Federal government pinpoints hand washing as antidote to deadly communicable diseases. And financial experts label CBN's electronic foreign exchange merchant system as stabilizer of forex markets. And federal government launches portal for youth participation in CNG projects. Hello again, and thank you for joining me on Nta News Desk at 6. I am Claire Adilabu Abdurrazak. Thank you. The federal government has unveiled Nutrition 774 initiative, a framework for a comprehensive vision for a nationwide nutrition program to address malnutrition and food insecurity in Nigeria. And Vice President Kashim Shettima, chairing a roundtable with development partners at the presidential villa, said the initiative aligns with President Tinubu administration's broader focus on food security and availability across Nigeria. State House correspondent Abdul Rahman Jubrila will bring us this news presently. In other news, Nigeria has joined Latin American nations, India and the World Trade Organization in calling for the suspension of EU regulations on deforestation and agricultural produce ban. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, stated this while inaugurating the National Task Force on European Union deforestation regulation. The EU emphasized that any company intending to penetrate the market or export will ensure that the produce or product is not from deforestation areas. The committee inaugurated by the minister is to ensure that Nigeria is not sidelined at the European markets.
Reference of National Task Force includes the following. 1. Coordination of relevant stakeholders towards having a national approach on EUDR. 2. Design, implementation and funding strategy for National Task Force on EUDR. 3. Review and adopt state plan for nationwide implementation. 4. Drive a sustainable advocacy and sensitization program on EUDR.
And as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to commemorate the 2024 Global Hand Washing Day, the Minister of Water Resources says hand washing remains the panacea to curb the spread of deadly communicable diseases in the country. He stated this at a press briefing to mark the day here in Abuja. Usman Zubeiru was there.
This is how the Global Hand Washing Day was observed this year, with government officials and stakeholders in the water and sanitation sector taking the campaign to the Garki Market in Abuja to create more awareness for members of the public. Global hand washing is observed annually to raise awareness on the importance of using soap for hand washing to lessen the burden of numerous diseases that pose a threat to development of population health. This year's themes reflects an important question: why are clean hands still important? It is because it is a key to reducing the burden of many diseases, and it contributes to preventing and mitigating the transmission of diseases such as cholera, diarrhea, and neglected tropical diseases. In commemoration of the day, the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation tasked stakeholders in the sanitation sector to build on the gains made in the recent years by working together to ensure that hand-washing facilities are present in their residence, office, schools, healthcare facilities, and other public places.
It is considered as an affordable, accessible, do-it-yourself vaccine for sanitation and hygiene-related diseases like diarrhea, cholera, typhoid fever, pneumonia, which are prevalent in our communities.
Today, we are raising your awareness again to continue to do more so that our country will be much healthier.
The theme for this year clearly indicates the urgency and the need for multi-stakeholders collaboration to promote hand hygiene and make it an integral part of the country's national life at all times. Usman Zubairu, Nta News.
And to the National Assembly now, the Senate wants the federal government to have in place a comprehensive action plan to tackle recurring flood disaster in Nigeria. Senate also commended President Bola Tinubu for setting up the Disaster Relief Fund and calls for provisions in the 2025 budget for the dredging of rivers Benue and Niger as a preventive measure against flood. This call from the Senate was equal to motions from Senator Adegbomire Ayodele and Senator Amos Yohana on the recent devastation of flood and communities in Ondo and Adamawa states.
The Committee on Legislative Compliance will ensure that NEMA, FEMA, and relevant agencies of government rise to the occasion to ameliorate the sufferings of the people. And our heart goes out in sympathy to families that have been displaced and are affected.
The Senate urged concerned authorities to be prompt in making available some form of relief to those affected. Meanwhile, the National Council on Climate Change and the World Bank are conducting an assessment of the current institutional flood, other disasters, drought, risk policies and management in order to effectively prepare, prevent and protect the population from future occurrences and damages. Here is Charles Alpha with details of this report.
The 2012, 2019, 2022 and the most recent damages caused in Borno State and parts of the country this year occasioned this technical workshop on flood and drought risk management for climate resilience by the Nigerian government, with the National Council on Climate Change serving as the secretariat and the World Bank providing technical expertise under the World Bank's EPIC response framework, which is the Enable, Plan, Invest and Control response.
We need to engage other sectors. So we should have a more collaborative approach for flood and drought risk management. This is a message.
Director General National Council on Climate Change, Nkiruka Madwekwe, and the Special Advisor to the President on National Economic Council and Climate Change, Rukaya El-Rufai, were convinced that disaster risk reduction efforts by the government are closely linked to the Sustainable Development Goals for communities to thrive and foster climate resilience. Stakeholders here think early warning is not a problem for Nigeria, but what seems to be the problem is early coordinated action.
There's a wide span of ecosystem and stakeholders involved in disaster management, not even the action, but from the prevention to the mitigation to the adaptation.
It is expected that at the end of the workshop, participants would have assessed the existing gaps, defining the scope of support available by building local capacities to achieve a climate resilience. Charles Alpha, Nta News.
And still on flood alert, recent update from the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, reveals that Jaba Dam is currently spilling excess water as regulated by Kenji Dam operators, who had kept 53 centimeters buffer until now to allow for any change in inflow. Director General, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, Umar Ibrahim Mohammed, stated that the agency is working in collaboration with operators of Kenji and Jaba Dams on the management of the reservoirs. The agency also monitored that while the rain is gradually shifting to the south, some amount of water is still flowing into Nigeria from Jideribode and Kendida Station. Reaffirming the agency's commitment to the overall flood management in Nigeria, NISA appeals to the public to continue adhering to flood preparedness protocols. And the House of Representatives has urged the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy to work with security agencies, investigate the use of telecommunications telecommunication networks and financial systems by bandits to facilitate ransom payments. Lawmakers at Tuesday's plenary note that the brazen use of telecommunications and banking institutions by bandits should be exploited to track their criminal activities and bring them to justice.
The situation has deteriorated to the point where bandits now officially provide bank account for ransom payment to be made for kidnapped victims. In the first few months, there has not been a 48-hour period without a bandit attack in Paskari and Karasabwa Federal Constituency of Katsina State. Urge the security agencies to block such channels of communication and financial transaction used by the criminals.
And in other resolutions, the House asked the federal government to review the budgetary allocation of the National Orientation Agency, which they describe as grossly inadequate for the agency to effectively discharge its mandate.
Of youth restiveness and social vices in the nation, there is definitely an urgent need to implement measures for effective reorientation of citizens to curb vices, reorient the people, and encourage growth within our society.
Financial experts have commended the introduction of the electronic foreign exchange marching system by the Central Bank of Nigeria, with the stated objective of transforming the country's forex market. Discussing the new system on Good Morning Nigeria today, the experts say it enhances transparency and instills discipline in Nigeria's foreign exchange market. Kemini Williams monitored the program and now reports.
The new electronic foreign exchange matching system will require all authorized dealers to conduct forex transactions using the platform to ensure that transactions reflect immediately within the market. The CBN in its circular says it is expected to become operational by the 1st of December 2024 after a 2-week test run scheduled for November. Financial experts on Good Morning Nigeria noted that these will reduce speculations in the market and ensure transparency. They, however, called for extended time to allow dealers in the market to address the precarious nature of the market.
And under the reporting mechanism, it says that banks, are expected to submit quarterly reports regarding their compliance with the Forex Code within 14 days after the end of the calendar quarter. Effective date is October 14. And the code is requiring the banks to submit their first report by 31st of December. So you just have November, December. So that's not a quarter.
Timing is very, very important for implementation so that we can put all the, look at the consequences, unintended consequences, to ensure that it's a very good document that will be implemented.
The experts had some recommendations on how the CBN can make the new Forex guidelines more effective, such as instituting a differentiated cash reserve requirement system. President of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators in Nigeria, Aminu Gwadabe, also raised the need for the inclusion of Bureau de Change Operators in the system.
What we are seeing now, P2P is even taking over the retail end of the market. How many people now buy cash dollar to make payments? How many people use their DOM account to make payments? So the banks are the wholesale, the Bureau de Change are the retail end participants. They are the third leg. Include them in this system.
While we are insisting on importing so much, can we also start seeing how we can start processing raw materials, in the country, so that we reduce pressure, on the foreign exchange market?
Commercial banks are expected to drop 45%, of their cash with the central bank. That has accumulated to, trillions of naira. The central bank should explore ways of utilizing part of those huge cash reserve requirements, for the benefit of the MSMEs.
Authorized forex dealers are expected to comply with the existing regulations and complete the necessary documentation, training, and system integration ahead of the implementation deadline. The EFEMS is expected to reshape how foreign exchange transactions are conducted in the interbank market and promoting a market-driven exchange rate. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, Nta News.
This is News Desk at 6 on Nta News 24. Don't go away. The news returns presently.
As your president, I assure you that we are committed to finding sustainable solutions to alleviate the suffering of our citizens. Once again, I plead for your patience as the reforms we are implementing show positive signs, and we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Welcome back. You're watching News Desk at 6 here on Nta News 24. Let's go back to our earlier story on the 774 initiative to combat malnutrition. And our State House correspondent, Abdurrahman Jibrila's report is now ready for you.
A presidential commitment with a dual mandate to ensure food availability and reduce malnutrition. The 144th meeting of the National Economic Council had in September endorsed the Nutrition 774 program as a primary platform for combating malnutrition within Nigerian communities. The council encouraged development partners to provide financial and technical assistance to support this initiative. And at this roundtable with development partners, Vice President Kashim Shettima urged them to support the proposed initiative, recognizing the crucial role of collaboration in addressing the nation's nutritional challenges.
The N774 initiative is a very, very focused, multi-sectoral approach towards alleviating our challenges. The President is irrevocably, firmly committed to this initiative. The political will is there, and we'll play our own part well. The whole fulcrum is on mobilization of resources and technical assistance and capacity building. The blind cannot lead the blind. We have to enhance the capacity of our personnel at the local government level.
The Nutrition 774 initiative adopts a grassroots-driven approach, empowering local actors to take charge of nutritional improvements in their communities, as well as invest in local capacity through the training of health workers and community leaders. Development partners present at the meeting pledged their support for the nutrition program, commending the federal government for the initiative, even as they underscored its commitment towards scaling up nutrition across the country.
N774 recognizes the good work of the Supreme Court to really devolve power and control to the LGA level, and it is at that level where we believe we'll have the greatest impact to address malnutrition and to ensure the health and well-being of Nigerians.
This aligns very well with global evidence that shows that you need a combination of health, nutrition, interventions, water and sanitation, and agriculture education, all these packages targeted to the household at the community level to be able to make a significant needle on improving food security and reducing malnutrition.
The crisis of malnutrition caused by natural disasters, among other challenges, will require bold leadership in the humanitarian assistance space, aligning with the values and objectives outlined in the Nutrition 774 initiative. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, Nta News.
The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has approved the appointment of Air Commodore Olushola Akingbewa as the new Director of Public Relations and Information, DOPRI, for the Nigerian Air Force. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports that Air Marshal Abubakar also approved the redeployment of the SY DOPRI Air Vice Marshal Edward Gabwet to the newly established NAV Civil Military Relations Branch as Director of Coordination and Cooperation.
As the outgoing director, a seasoned officer known for his unwavering dedication approached the podium, the weight of his experience was palpable. He spoke passionately about the importance of transparency and the role of effective communication in shaping public perception. Their duty, he re-echoes, goes beyond military powers. It lies in building trust and understanding with the citizens they serve. He turned to his successor, a dynamic officer recognized for his innovative approaches and commitment to professionalism. With a firm handshake, he passed him the mantle, a symbolic representation of the Directorate's mission.
And I strongly believe that the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, couldn't have picked a better senior officer to continue to project the image of the Nigerian Air Force.
As the new director accepted these, his eyes shone with determination, with a vow to enhance the Nigerian Air Force efforts in disseminating information, ensuring that every achievement and challenges is communicated with professionalism. The audience erupted in applause, recognizing the significance of this transition. With the task ahead, he envisions a future where the Nigerian Air Force will be seen as not only a formidable military force, but also as a transparent entity, fostering public engagement and trust. This moment marked not just a change in leadership, but a renewed commitment to uphold the values of professionalism and openness.
Without your support, without your cooperation, the successes would not have been possible. And so I want to use this opportunity to solicit that that same support, that same partnership, that same synergy should continue.
As the ceremony concluded, the air was charged with hope and a shared vision for the road ahead, one where every voice within the Air Force echoed a story of honor, resilience and pride. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
You're watching News Desk at 6 on Nta News24. Let's remind you of the top stories. Federal government pinpoints hand washing as antidote to spread of deadly communicable diseases. Financial experts label central bank's electronic foreign exchange merchant system as stabilizer of forex market. And the federal government has launched portal for youth participation in CNG projects.
This is NTA News24.
And Federal Republic of Nigeria has expressed concern over the attack on the residence of the United Arab Emirates UAE ambassador in Khartoum on Sunday, September the 22nd. A statement by the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Eche Abuobe, calls on the Sudanese authorities to take necessary measures to forestall recurrence and guarantee the safety and welfare of embassy staff and their families. Nigeria also calls on other relevant stakeholders to seek an amicable and peaceful resolution of the ongoing conflict in order to return normalcy to that country. And thank you for watching News Desk at 6 with us. Don't forget to join us again at 9 on the network service, that is, and of course at 7 on Nta International. But we'll be back here on this channel tomorrow morning. From all of us here, have a good night. Bye-bye.